Okay, good morning and welcome to Iyun with Benzion. We're finishing the 12th parak of Kesubos of Kuf Dalid. I want to talk about the Mishnah of today, Kuf Dalid and Aleph. The Mishnah records a machlokas between Rav Meir and the Rabbanon, which basically have opposite shitas. A woman is entitled, an almana is entitled to mazonos and ksuba for how long? The rest of her life? Let's say she lives to 120 years old. He died at 30 years old. She was 25. She's entitled for another 95 years for mazonos and ksuba. Rameir says it depends. It depends. If she's living, she goes back to her father's house. In certain circumstances, she's very young. She can go back to her father's house. She's entitled forever. 25 years. If she's living in her husband's house, and after 25 years, because presumably she's living in her husband's house, she's not good at taking care, managing finances, managing the house. The heirs of the husband are helping her. So, like Rameir says, she loses after 25 years. They've done enough tovos, enough favors for her that she loses her ksuba, because they did favors. Favors are not for free. If you didn't know that, if you thought favors were free, you're living in a delusional world. Every favor carries a price tag with it. So don't take favors. And if you're going to do favors for other people, remember that you have a right to collect on that favor in the form of another favor, right? Quid pro quo or monetary value at a later time. So favors are not for free. People live with this delusional view of the world that you can just do chesed for everybody and expect everyone to do chesed for you and just ask for a million favors. It's a delusional way of the world. I lived like this for a number of years. When I was younger, getting rides from people, going to people's houses for Shabbos, asking them to come for meals. It wasn't right. I don't know these people anymore, but somehow I'd like to pay people back for all those tovos they did for me. But a lot of people in the society that I live on this premise that you just do the gamachim. Anyway, this is not what I want to talk about. Rameir says 25 years they did favors for her. The ksuba is paid off. Chum say the opposite. Chum say this is how we pass it. Chum say if she's living in her husband's house, so she's entitled forever. If she go back to her father's house, so then 25 years. Right, so what's the svara according to the Chum? Is the svara, now you can't say the Chum svara is 25 years, she's in her father's house, she's not getting any favors from the heirs, so it has to be a different svara. It seems from the Gemara uses the word mochel, that after 25 years in her husband's house, in her father's house, she's mochelet. In regular law, American law, by a lot of countries, there's something called a statute of limitations that you only have after a crime happened or after a monetary dispute happened, a damage happened. You only have usually like 5 years to make a claim. Once you didn't make a claim in 5 years, it's like you waived that claim. So is that the svara over here? After 25 years, the statute of limitations, right? She forfeited her right to mazonos and ksuba. Or do we say, maybe a different svara over here, this is what I'd like to introduce, but it doesn't make sense to me, 25 years. 25 years is a long time. It's a quarter of a century. Up until that time, she wasn't mochelas, and after 25 years, she was mochelas. I'd like to say a different shot over here. I think this is the correct shot, is that when she's living in her husband's house, so she's still attached to her husband, she's living in her husband's house, it's like, in a certain sense, she's still married to the guy. She's still married to the guy. Her ksuba is still intact. She didn't collect the ksuba. She gets him his own until she collects her ksuba. That's just the rules. That's part of the Tanai ksuba. Once she leaves her husband's house. She goes to her father's house. So there's a severage, partial severage of that bond to the heirs, to her former husband, right? Even if she doesn't get remarried, she has severed that bond partially. After 25 years, a quarter of a century passed. So usually, when a husband passes away, the woman's older, and 25 years, she'll probably die within 25 years. If she's still alive at 25 years, it's time to move on. Chazal just said that's a cessation. It was all based on the Tanai Ksuba. I'll give you mazonos and I'll give you a Ksuba even after I die. But once you do two steps, you have 25 years plus the fact that you're not even living in your husband's house, that the marriage is over. The marriage is diluted already, and you can't collect your ksuba anymore. It's not because she's mochelet after 25 years. It's because there's a severage from your husband, and you're no longer entitled to a ksuba. The Gemara says on Kuf Daled and Beis, Gemara Paskins, that this halacha only applies when she doesn't have a shtar ksuba. If she has a shtar ksuba, right? If she's still holding loan document in her hand, even if she's in her father's house, in her father's house, and it's been 25 years, she can still collect the ksuba for another 95 years. She died. If her husband was 30, he died. She was 25, and she lives to 120. So 95 years, she has shar ksuba. What's this halacha based on? It was based on mechila, right? That she's mochel her right, she forfeits her right. I don't think it makes a difference whether she's holding it here, she has in her drawer a loan document, a ksuba document, or a not ksuba document. I mean, after 25 years, we assume she just forfeited. She doesn't care anymore about it. She doesn't care. Statute of limitations. She doesn't care anymore. But if the pshat is that it's a disconnection from her husband's house, so that's what the Gemara is saying. If she's holding a shtar ksuba, she feels to hold on to this document is important. She still feels a connection, and through the ksuba, holding on to the ksuba, she's telling us that she is still connected to her husband's estate. So therefore, she's able to collect forever, both mazonos and the ksuba. That's the pshat I like to suggest over here. I think it's the correct pshat. Even the Gemara originally says the word mechila. I think at the maskan of the Gemara, where the Gemara says depends whether the shtar ksuba or not the shtar ksuba. I think the Gemara is chozerbo, and the Gemara says the real reason is because of the severage from the husband's estate. She's holding the shtar ksuba. She's not severed from the husband's estate, and therefore she can collect for as long as she lives. Hope you enjoyed today's shir. See you in the next one.